Hello everyone, welcome back. This is chapter 1 India Relief Features from grade 10 of Telangana board. It is very important chapter from examination perspective. So let us begin the chapter. Chapter name is Relief Features of India. So here India Relief Features, the chapter begins with a map. As you can see, there is a map on the screen. You can see that there are different continents, oceans, and also India map is shown on the world map. So let us discuss this map in detail. So as you can see that there are different continents here. These are all the different continents. As you can see, we can locate Asia here, Europe, Africa, South America, North America, Antarctica, and Australia. Along with this continents, you can also see that there were different oceans here: Pacific Ocean, Indian Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, and Pacific Ocean here. So you can see the same Pacific Ocean is uh, both on the eastern side and on the western side. So it is a biggest ocean actually. So that is the reason why you get to see it on both the sides of the globe. Okay, so here you can see, children, we can locate India. I'll just try to locate it with the help of the marker. As you can see, this black colored region is Asia. So in this Asian continent, you can see that here we have our country, India. Okay, so this is India, and you can see that India is on the northern hemisphere. So if you look at this, children, you can identify that here we have 0 degrees. So 0 degrees represents that this is equator. Okay, so we all know that the earth is divided into two equal halves. Okay, so at the 0 degree we have equator, and above that we have northern hemisphere. So I'll draw a line to make you understand. Okay, so this is the equator, the red color line that you see on the globe. This is the equator. So here you can clearly understand that earth India is located on the northern hemisphere. In the globe can also be divided into uh, two equal halves on the basis of east and west. So here there is a 0 degree line, as you can see. So I'm drawing a longitudinal line. Okay, so longitudinal line that is dividing the earth into two equal halves again. So this part of the earth is called western hemisphere. This part of the world is called western hemisphere, and you can see here we have eastern hemisphere. Okay, so exactly speaking, India is located in the northeastern hemisphere. So which is the line that is dividing our country? As you can see, 23 degrees 26 minutes. This is the Tropic of Cancer that divides our country into two equal halves. Okay, so this is about India on the world map. Now let us talk about the latitudinal and the longitudinal extent of India. Here you can see at 37 degrees 6 minutes north, this point here, this is the northernmost point of India, and this place is Indira Col, located in Ladakh. In the similar way, the southernmost point of India, that is the mainland India, that is 8 degrees 4 minutes north, we have Kanyakumari, Kanyakumari in Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu. So the distance between these 2 points, that is the distance between Indra Col in the northernmost point of India and Kanyakumari in the southernmost point of India, the distance between these 2 points is 3,214 kilometers. Similarly, in the west, here you can see in the west, the westernmost point of India is located at 68 degrees 7 minutes east. This is at Guhar Moti, Guhar Moti in Gujarat. Gujarat. In the similar way, in the eastern side of India, here, this is the point. You can see that is 97 degrees 25 minutes east. We have Kibitu. Kibitu. So this is in Arunachal Pradesh. Arunachal Pradesh. So here you can see the distance between these 2 points, that is Guhar Moti here, Guhar Moti and Kibitu here. You can see that there is a distance of almost 3000 kilometers. 3000 kilometers. So as you can see that the shape of India is quadrangular. As you can see, if we join all the points here, they appear to be in the shape of a quadrangular. So there are a few more things that we need to know about India. So let us quickly go through them. The geographical location of India provides vast climatic conditions in diversity, which has led to the growth of variety of vegetation and life forms, along with the advantages for growing many kinds of crops. So here children, India is not just a land of uh, cultural diversity or ethnic diversity, but India is also diverse in terms of climatic conditions. Here, diverse means being unique or different from each other. In India, we have different climatic conditions in different regions, which is why we call India as a land of diverse climatic conditions. And due to these diverse climatic conditions, we have different vegetations. Okay, so here vegetations means all the kinds of plants or plant life uh, in a particular place. We call it as vegetation. So in short, we can say as a green coverage. Okay, so here in India we have different types of vegetations. The main reason for that is we have different climatic conditions, due to which we have different vegetations. In some areas uh, we have full of forest. In some areas we have deserts. All this is because we have different climatic conditions in India. Moving on to the second point, children, we here you can say India also has a long coastline. Okay, so if you look at the map of India here, you can see that the entire India here, this most of the land of India is covered. uh, it is covered around the oceans. It is covered around the Indian Oceans. So this is the main reason why it became very easy for us to trade with other countries, because it is easy to trade through the seas than to trade through roads, through borders. Crossing borders, it would be very difficult to trade. But since India is a peninsular plateau, it becomes very easy for us to continue trade, to trade through seaways. And also, since India has a long coastline, there is also a greater scope for water sports as well as fishing, children. Now, here we have about latitudes and longitudes, children. Already we know that these are the two imaginary lines. Okay, so imaginary lines are the lines that we have drawn for ourselves. Okay, they do not actually exist. A latitude or a longitude is just an imaginary line. So we have drawn it for the sake of understanding it better. Moving forward, children, 82 degrees 30 minutes east is the standard meridian. Now, this is important, children. This is the standard meridian of India. India follows this standard time zone, which is called as Indian Standard Time, and this standard meridian passes through a place called Mirzapur, which is near Allahabad. Okay, so very important from the examination point of view. They might ask you what is the standard meridian of India. So you have to say 82 degrees 30 minutes, or you can just say 82 and a half degrees east. Okay, so moving further, children, here a little bit of information about Greenwich Mean Time. Okay, so remember that this is not Greenwich, it is not pronounced as Greenwich, it is Greenwich. Okay, that's the way you pronounce Greenwich. In the year 1884, Greenwich Mean Time was adopted as International Meridian. So that is at 0 degree meridian. Since it is becoming difficult for the countries to trade, uh, all the countries came together and decided that there should be a 0 degree meridian, and the place that was chosen for that 0 degree happens to be at Greenwich. Okay, so this is situated at London. This is situated at London, which happens to be the capital city of England. So the distance, how far we are from the Greenwich here, we are 5.5 hours ahead of Greenwich Mean Time. So India is 5.5 hours ahead of England. So these are the few things, few basics that we need to remember about India. Let us now discuss about the geological background. Let us understand how the world's landforms originated. The world's landforms originated from two giant lands known as the Angara land and the Gondwana land. So here in the picture you can see about almost 250 million years ago, the entire world was a single continent called Pangaea. As you can see here, entire continent was a single continent. Entire world was a single continent called Pangaea. So later what happened? Let us see. India is a part of Gondwana land, and its landmass developed due to geological formations and other processes like weathering, erosion, and natural processes of depositing sand, dust particles, and remains of plants and animals on rocks or soils. Here in the picture you can see that this part here, this is what India is. This is what India is. India was a part of Gondwana land. As you can see here, Pangaea broke into two pieces. The upper portion is called as Laurasia. Okay, the upper portion is called as Laurasia, and at the bottom you can see this part over here. Okay, this part at the bottom is called as Gondwana land. India is a part of Gondwana land, and this landmass developed due to geological formation. Now what are geological formations? The changes happening on the landforms, okay, due to the processes of weathering means breaking up. Okay, breaking up. Erosion means moving of those particles and depositing it somewhere else. So due to this geological formations, the land masses were developing. And here you can see the Indian peninsula was a part of Gondwana land over 200 million years ago. So in the initial, if we go back 250 years, entire world was a single continent called Pangaea. Later on, 50 million years later, that is, if we talk about from now 200 million years ago, the Pangaea broke down into two continents called Laurasia and Gondwana. Talking about India, India was a part of Gondwana land. And these landforms were formed due to the geological formations and processes like weathering, erosion, etc. So here the large landmass known as Peninsular Indian Plateau moved towards northeast. So moved towards northeast and collided into a much larger Eurasian plate. Now here you can see in the second picture, this is India. Okay, so what happened to India? India started moving upwards. Okay, moving towards Eurasian plate. Okay, Eurasian plate. Okay, so this is Eurasian plate, and it went upwards and it collided with Eurasian plate. Here you can see the picture, children. It broke down from Gondwana and it moved upwards, and then it collided with the Eurasian plates. So here you can see this is India. Slowly it kept on moving upwards, and finally it collided with the Eurasian plate. So all this took some millions and millions of years, children. It is not like something happened all of a sudden. It took some millions of years for the movement of these landforms to move from their original places. So few things that you need to remember here, children. That is, first, the entire world was a single continent called Pangaea. Later, the Pangaea broke down into two parts. The upper portion was called as Laurasia, and the bottom portion was called as Gondwana. India was a part of Gondwana land. Slowly, over the period of time, this part of India started moving upwards and it collided with Eurasian plates. And all this happened over the period of millions of years, children. Okay, so over millions of years, due to the collision and strong compression force, mountains evolved. Now, you might be wondering how the Himalayas were formed. The reason why Himalayas were formed is due to this collision. Okay, so due to this collision, there was a folding process, and that is how you can see after the collision, we get to see Himalayas on the northernmost part of India, children. So Himalayas are also called as fold mountains because the mountains that were formed due to the folding that happened when the Indian subcontinent moved upwards and it collided with the Eurasian plates. That is how fold mountains happened, and which is why Himalayas are also called as fold mountains, children. Let us go to the next topic. Next topic is major relief divisions. Before we begin this topic, let us first try to understand the meaning of the word relief. Relief represents the landscape. It represents the landforms. Like if you observe Earth, you'll find that not all the places are having equal altitude, equal height. In some places, we have mountains. In other places, we have plateaus, plains, deserts, etc. So the surfaces at some places are higher and the surfaces at some places are lower. So relief tells us how high or low a particular place is. So the relief features of Indian landmass, for that convenient reasons, have been divided into six types. They are: number one, Himalayas; number two, Indo-Gangetic Plains; number three, Peninsular Plateau; fourth, we have coastal plains; five, the Thar Desert; and the sixth one is the islands of India. So that is how the landmass of India is divided into six types, children. So let us discuss each of them in detail. Let us now talk about the first landforms of India, that is the Great Himalayas. The Himalayan ranges are stretched in the west to east direction in the form of an arc with a distance of about 2,400 kilometers. So here there are 3 points that you need to remember. One is the direction in which they are moving. They are moving from the western side towards the eastern side. So they are moving from the western side towards the eastern side of India. They are in the arc shaped, or you can also say they are in the shape of a crescent moon. Okay, so you know what is a crescent moon. So they look like they are in the shape of an arc or a crescent moon, and they cover a distance of 2,400 kilometers, children. So these are three important things that you need to remember about Himalayas. Another important point that you might know, that you must note, is the width of the Himalayas. Okay, so the width is more in the western side of Himalayas. That is, they are broader in the western region. It on an average, like, they are about 500 kilometers broader in the western region, whereas in the central and the eastern region they are about 200 kilometers. Okay, so that is the width of Himalaya. So in short, you can say they are broader. They are broader in width in the western side, but when it comes to the central side of Himalayas and the eastern side of Himalayas, the width reduces gradually. Okay, so that is one more thing that you need to remember. Now another important point that you must note here is Himalayas comprises of three parallel ranges. Okay, so we have three parallel ranges in Himalayas. One is Greater Himalaya, second one is Lesser Himalayas, and the third one is Outer Himalayas. So Greater Himalayas are also called as Himadri. Greater Himalayas are also called as Himadri. Lesser Himalayas are called as Himachal Himalayas, and Outer Himalayas are also called as Shivaliks. So these are the three parallel ranges. As you can see, they are parallel to each other. So first, the northernmost, we have Greater Himalayas. After Greater Himalayas, we have Lesser Himalayas, and the last range of Himalayas, we have Outer Himalayas. So we'll be discussing each one of these Himalayas in detail in the next slide. So, talking about the three ranges of Himalayas, the first one called the Greater Himalayas, also known as Himadri. Okay, so this is the northernmost range of Himalayas. So, as I have already shown you in the previous slide, there are three ranges, children, that are moving in the form of an arc. Okay, the first one is called as Greater Himalayas or Himadri. Okay, so this is the northernmost, okay, northernmost range of Himalaya, and this is continuous. Here in the map you can see this point here. Okay, this point here, here. Okay, so as you can see, this range here is continuous. Okay, so you do not see breaks here. The range is continuous without breaks. Okay, so it is also having the world's highest peak. Okay, the world's highest peaks are located in this range of Himalayas. Okay, so it is believed that on an average the elevation is somewhere around 6,100 meters. Okay, so the height of the mountains in this region is about 6,100 meters above the mean sea level. As I already told you, this is a range of Himalayas that has highest highest mountain peaks. Okay, so some of the important ones that you must note here are Mount Everest. Okay, Mount Everest, Kanchenjunga, Dhaulagiri, Nanga Parbat, and Nanda Devi. Okay, so these are some of the highest peaks that are worthy mentioning in the Greater Himalayas. So, Greater Himalayas are composed of snow and ice cover, including glaciers. Okay, so if we talk about Greater Himalayas, most of the mountains there are covered with ice and snow, and that is the reason why we have perennial rivers flowing through these mountains. Okay, so what are perennial rivers? Perennial rivers are the rivers that flow continuously throughout the years. They are not like seasonal rivers. Okay, so they are the rivers that keep on melting through the glaciers. So we have three perennial rivers that are flowing through Himalayas, that is Indus River, Ganga River, and Brahmaputra River. So the second range of Himalayas, called the Lesser Himalayas, are also called as Himachal Himalayas. They are located to the south of Greater Himalayas. Now this is Greater Himalayas. To the south of Greater Himalayas, we have Lesser Himalayas. So these Lesser Himalayas are uneven. Okay, they are not even. As you can see here, this one here, this one, these ranges are not continuous. Okay, they are not continuous and they are not even as well. Okay, so they are having rough surfaces and uneven, and they are mainly composed of highly compressed rock. So you'll find most of these Himalayas are having highly compressed rocks. Talking about the height, children, the height ranges from 3,700 meters to 4,500 meters. So if you may observe, children, uh, talking about Greater Himalayas, the average elevation was 6,100. Now as we get to the second range of Himalayas, the altitude or the height of the mountain ranges are increasing. Okay, so the Greater Himalayas are having about 6,100. Now, as we go into the Lesser Himalayas, the average altitude is between 3,700 meters to 4,500 meters. So we can assume that as we keep on going to the lower levels, the altitude of the mountain ranges keeps decreasing, children. Now, talking about some of the important ranges that are located in Lesser Himalayas, make sure to remember Purvanchal Range, the Dhauladhar Range, the Mussoorie Range, the Nag Tibba, and Mahabharat Lake. Okay, don't worry about the places. I'm going to cover another topic about how to locate these places on map. I'm also going to discuss these places in detail in some other video. Okay, so remember the important ranges of the Lesser Himalayas, that is Pir Panjal, Dhauladhar, Mussoorie, the Nag Tibba, and the Mahabharata ranges. Now, the lesser Himalayan ranges also consist of the famous valleys. So you must have heard about Kashmir, beautiful Kashmir Valley, Kangra Valley, Kullu and Manali. All these are beautiful valleys. Okay, so where do we find these valleys? We find these valleys in the lesser Himalaya. So the famous valley of Kashmir, which is situated in Jammu and Kashmir, Kangra and Kullu Valley are from Himachal Pradesh, and apart from the valleys, children, this region is also famous for hill stations. Okay, so not only valleys, children, these regions are also having famous hill stations like Shimla, Mussoorie, Nainital, and Ranikhet. And this region is mostly covered with evergreen forest. So this is also one point that you might have to remember here. This region is less hostile and friendly to human contact. That means it is these mountains are easily accessible. Okay, people would not find difficulty crossing these the mountains because they are not so hostile. Okay, so it is easy for human access. So now let us move to the other range of Himalayas, that is Outer Himalayas or the Shivaliks. So let us now move to the outermost range of Himalayas called the Outer Himalayas or Shivaliks. They are the southernmost range of Himalayas. Already we know that the northernmost range of Himalayas are the Greater Himalayas. After Greater Himalayas, we have Lesser Himalayas, and after Lesser Himalayas, we have Outer Himalayas, also called as Shivaliks. So, Greater Himalayas, called Himadri, are the northernmost range of Himalayas. Northernmost range of Himalayas. In between, we have Himachal Himalayas, also called as Lesser Himalayas, and the southernmost, okay, the southernmost range of Himalayas are Outer Himalayas, also called as Shivaliks. Okay, so here the height of these mountain ranges are from 900 meters to 1100 meters. So if we talk about the height of mountains in Himadri, it is on an average about 6,100 meters. And if we talk about the mountain peaks in Himachal, it is decreasing to 3,700 meters to 4,500 meters. Now, talking about Shiva Lakes, it further decreases to 900 meters to 1100 meters. So we can come to the conclusion that from as we keep going downwards, the height of the mountain ranges keeps decreasing, children. Also, the width of these mountains extends from 10 kilometers to 50 kilometers, children. Now talking about the different names, okay, these Shivaliks are called by different names in different regions. Shivaliks are called as Jammu Hills in Jammu and Kashmir. They are called as Mishmi Hills in Arunachal Pradesh. And in Assam, people call it as Kachar Hills. And these hills are generally consisting of thick gravel and alluvium. Okay, so mostly when the rivers flow, when the rivers that originate in the Himalayas, when they flow, they bring with them gravels, they bring with them rocks, they bring with them sand particles. Alluvial soil is that alluvial soil, that is how it gets deposited in the Shivalik, children. Now, another peculiar feature about the outer Shivaliks is that we find dunes in it. Okay, so what are these dunes? Dunes are nothing but they are the valleys. Okay, they are the valleys that are located between Himachal, Himalayas, and Shivaliks. So now let us see what are these dunes. Okay, on top we have Greater Himalayas, also called as Himadri. Okay, to the south of Himalayas, we have Himachal Himalayas, Himachal Himalayas, also called as Lesser Himalayas, and the last range of Himalayas called Shivaliks. Now, between these two range of Himalayas, that is between Himachal and Shivaliks, we have valleys in between them. Okay, so we have valleys in between them, and the valleys between the Himachal and Shivaliks are called as dunes. Okay, to mention a few of the famous dunes here, we should remember Dehradun, Kotli Dun, and Patli Dun. Okay, so here Dehradun, which happens to be the capital city of Uttarakhand. Kotli Dun is in Himachal Pradesh, and Patli Dun is again from Uttarakhand. Okay, so these are the famous dunes that we find between Himachal and Shivaliks. In short, these dunes are the valleys that are located between the ranges of Himachal Himalayas and Shivaliks, children. As we have covered the three ranges of Himalayas, that is Greater Himalayas, also called as Himadri, Lesser Himalayas, also called as Himachal, and Outer Himalayas, also called as Shivaliks, let us now move forward by discussing Purvanchal. What are these Purvanchal ranges? Okay, so as you can see here, this ranges, okay, these mountain ranges that are colored in green color, okay, So as you can see, this ranges of mountains are called as Purvanchal Ranges. Okay, so here the easternmost boundary, they are considered to be the easternmost. Okay, why they are considered as easternmost range? Because as the mountain ranges start from the west side. Okay, as in the beginning I have told you about the direction of Himalayas. Okay, so they are moving from west direction towards the east direction. Now after a point, okay, after a point, they take a sharp bend towards the east. Okay, they take a sharp bend towards the east. Okay, so that range of Himalayas are taking a sharp bend, okay, towards the south are called as Purvanchal Ranges. Okay, so these bend happens at a point in Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, these bend happens at a point called Dihang Valley. They take a sharp bend towards the south, and they act as the eastern boundary. Now you can see here, children, this range of Himalayas, they are acting as the eastern boundary, children. Okay, so they run through all the northeastern states, and that is why they are also known by different names in different regions. Okay, so when we go for map pointing, I'm going to explain to you uh, about each and every name. We'll also try to locate these places on the map. Okay, so don't worry about that. First, let us try to understand what are Purvanchal Ranges. Okay, so Purvanchal Ranges are the extension. Okay, they are the extension of Himalayas in Arunachal Pradesh. At a point called Dihang, they take a sharp bend and they turn towards the south. Okay, so as you can see, they take a turn towards the south, and they act as a boundary. They act as a boundary in the eastern part of India, and these range of mountains are called as Purvanchal Ranges, children. So these Purvanchal Ranges are generally made of generally consisting of sedimentary sandstones. Okay, so what are they composed of? They are generally composed of sedimentary sandstones. As I told you, that these Purvanchal ranges are covering most of the states in the northeast. They are known by different names. Okay, so regionally the Purvanchal ranges are called as Patkai Hills, the Naga Hills, Manipuri Hills, Khasi Hills, and Meso Hills. So don't worry about these places, children. When we go for map pointing, um, I'm going to tell you about the locations. We will also try to find out the locations of these places in detail, children. Now moving to the last topic in the Himalayas, that is how Himalayas influence India's climate. Okay, so what would happen to India if there were no Himalayas? Okay, so let us try to understand this. Himalayas act as barriers. Okay, they act as barriers protecting the northern plains of India from the cold winds of Central Asia. So as you know that the northern part of India is completely covered with Himalayas. So these Himalayas act as barriers. Okay, they prevent the cold winds that are blowing from the Central Asia. So if there were no Himalayas, our country would have to face extreme cold winds. Okay, but since we have Himalayas, the Himalayas here are acting as barriers protecting us from the cold winds that are blowing from the Central Asian region, children. Himalayas are also the reasons for summer rains. Okay, the reason why we have summer rains and monsoons is because these Himalayas, they stop the clouds from going to the Tibetan plateau. Okay, so you might have heard about windward and leeward. Okay, so this side, okay, so now imagine that there is a cloud here. Okay, so when the clouds move, these Himalayas, they act as barriers and they prevent the clouds from passing to the leeward side, and that is why these Himalayas act as barriers, and the clouds start precipitating in this region. Okay, so this is how Himalayas prevented the India. Okay, otherwise what would have happened is these clouds would have passed that side, and our country would have faced very drought conditions. Okay, so but here, since the height of Himalayas are so huge that it prevents the clouds from going to that side, and that is how it starts raining in our northern part of India. And that is the reason why we have summer rains and also monsoon type of climate in regions beyond Western Ghats of India. So in its absence, the regions would have remained drier. So now imagine if there was no Himalayas here, what would have happened? These clouds would have surpassed Indian border, and it would have left the Indian territories left the Indian territories drier. Okay, so Himalayan rivers also flow continuously. Okay, so we already spoke about perennial rivers. Okay, what are perennial rivers, children? Perennial rivers are the rivers that flow continuously. They are not seasonal rivers. Okay, as the melt as the continuous process of ice accumulation melting happens in the Himalayas, the rivers keep on flowing. Okay, the rivers keep on flowing. So throughout the year. Okay, they are not seasonal. Okay, so since we have Himalaya, there are many glaciers present there that helps in continuous flow of rivers called perennial rivers. So the Himalayan rivers flow continuously since they are fed by the glaciers, and they also bring with them lot of soft soils, making northern plains of India, children. So we are going to talk about northern plains after we complete Himalayas. Okay, so northern plain is a land that is completely filled with fertile soil, and most of the agriculture in India is practiced in northern plain. Okay, so the main reason for that is when the Himalayan rivers they flow from the mountains, they carry with them alluvial soil. Okay, so this alluvial soil gets deposited in the northern plain, making the northern plain very fertile, Okay, so all these benefits to India are happening because the northern part of India is covered by Himalayas, children. Okay, so in the next topic, we'll be talking more about the northern plains of India. Okay, so that's it. This brings me to the end of this topic. In case if you enjoyed learning, please do like, share, and subscribe. I'll keep making more videos on this, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks, everyone.